Welcome back to the channel JF Coin, where we uncover the hidden treasures of United States coins and explore the fascinating stories behind them. Today, we are diving deep into the history, the rarity, and the true market value of the 1969 Lincoln 1-cent coin, also known by many collectors as one of the ultra-valuable pennies that has surprised people across the globe. Stay tuned till the very end, because you will be amazed to know how this tiny copper coin, which once bought a piece of candy, is today valued at hundreds of dollars in the collector's market, with certain rare varieties even soaring much higher. Now, let us first go back in time. The year is 1969, an era filled with cultural changes, moon landings, and economic shifts. While the world was looking toward space, the United States Mint was still hard at work producing billions of Lincoln cents. On the surface, the 1969 penny looked just like any other, showing the familiar profile of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse side, facing right, with the words "In God We Trust" above, "Liberty" to the left, and the date 1969 to the right. On the reverse, you can find the iconic image of the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., designed by Frank Gasparo. But what sets this coin apart, and what makes collectors chase it today, is not just the design but the errors, the varieties, and the history tied to it. The 1969 Lincoln cent was struck primarily in copper, containing about 95% copper and 5% zinc, giving it that rich reddish appearance when freshly minted. But here's where the excitement begins. The 1969 Lincoln penny has one of the most famous and desirable era varieties in the entire world of numismatics. I am talking about the 1969 double die obverse penny. This particular error shows dramatic doubling on the date, the word liberty, and especially on the phrase "In God We Trust." It is so clear and so strong that it jumps out at collectors the moment they see it. Only a very small number of these double die pennies exist, and when one appears on the auction block, the value skyrockets into the tens of thousands of dollars, with some examples even reaching into the hundreds of thousands. Now you may be wondering, how can a simple penny that millions of people carried in their pockets suddenly be worth the price of a car or even a house? The answer lies in rarity and demand. Not every 1969 penny is rare. In fact, the Philadelphia Mint struck over 1 billion of them. But among that sea of coins, a tiny fraction came out with errors or unusual characteristics. And when it comes to coin collecting, rarity plus condition equals value. Let us talk about the standard 1969 Lincoln penny without errors first. In circulated condition, the average coin might only be worth a few cents above face value. However, when you find one in uncirculated mint state condition, with sharp details and brilliant luster, collectors are willing to pay much more. Right now in the market, high-quality 1969 Lincoln pennies can sell for around $442 if they are certified in top mint state grades, especially if they display full original red color rather than turning brown over time. Think about that for a moment. A coin that once passed from hand to hand for buying bubble gum or a newspaper now carries a value of hundreds of dollars. And that is not even the most valuable example. If you happen to discover a 1969 double die obverse penny in your change or coin collection, you might be sitting on a treasure worth life-changing money. One such coin sold at auction for more than $35,000, and others in pristine condition have fetched even higher. This makes the 1969 Lincoln cent one of the dream coins for collectors of American coinage. But there is another layer to this story. The 1969 double die was so convincing and so bold that at first, the United States Secret Service believed they were counterfeits. They even seized some of the early finds. Later, it was confirmed that these coins were genuine mint errors, and ever since, their reputation has only grown. Today they stand as one of the greatest modern rarities in U.S. coin history. Now let us take a closer look at the types of finishes you might encounter. Lincoln cents can come in three main color designations depending on how they have aged over time. Red, which means the coin still has nearly full original copper color, red-brown, which means part of the surface has toned darker, and brown, which means the coin has lost most of its original shine. Collectors prefer red coins, and those bring the highest premiums. So if you have a 1969 penny that looks like it just left the mint yesterday, you may already have something special. For anyone interested in searching their coins, the key steps are simple but important. First, check the date carefully. Second, look for the mint mark. If you see an S below the date, that means it was struck at the San Francisco Mint, and that is where the famous double die variety was made. Third, use a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe to carefully examine the words Liberty and In God We Trust. If you notice clear doubling, you might have just discovered a jackpot. Even if you do not have the double die, a high-grade example certified by a grading service like PCGS or NGC could bring hundreds of dollars on the open market. Today, the market for rare pennies is booming. Collectors and investors alike understand the historical value, the rarity, and the nostalgia that these coins carry. The 1969 Lincoln cent stands tall among them, not just as a simple piece of copper, but as a piece of American history, a symbol of hidden treasure, and a reminder that sometimes the smallest things can hold the greatest surprises. From a face value of just 1 cent to a market value of $442 or more, this coin proves that the world of numismatics is filled with stories waiting to be told. So the next time you are checking your pocket change, your coin jar, or that old box of coins handed down from a grandparent, take a moment to look closely at your pennies. Who knows, maybe you are holding on to a piece of history that could change your life. Remember, the 1969 Ultra Lincoln penny is not just a coin, it is a treasure, and its value continues to rise in the eyes of collectors around the world. Thank you for watching, and if you found this video helpful, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more incredible coin stories, and share this with your friends so they can join the treasure hunt too. Until next time, keep searching, keep collecting, and who knows, the next ultra rare coin might already be in your hands. Would you like me to also create a YouTube title and description with trending keywords for this script so it's ready to upload? Today we are going to explore one of the most mysterious and highly collectible United States 1-cent coins, the 1970 Lincoln penny. At first glance it may look like an ordinary coin that millions of people once carried in their pockets or dropped into piggy banks. But the story of the 1970 penny is far from ordinary. Some of these coins are worth hundreds of dollars, and in special conditions, they can even climb into the thousands. The market value we are going to highlight today is an impressive $442, and we will uncover why collectors are willing to pay so much for a simple cent. Let us begin with the history. The Lincoln cent was first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of President Abraham Lincoln's birth. For over 60 years the design had already been in circulation by the time the 1970 penny rolled off the presses. On the obverse side you will find the famous bust of President Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner, the same portrait that has stood the test of time and remains one of the most recognized designs in American coinage. On the reverse, until 1958, you would see the wheat ears design. But from 1959 to 2008 the back displayed the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. This makes the 1970 penny part of the Lincoln Memorial cent series. Now let us talk about the minting process, and what makes this year so special. In 1970 the United States Mint struck pennies at several locations including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Among these, the San Francisco Mint produced proof coins with the famous S mint mark. It is within this year's production that we find rare varieties which send collectors into a frenzy. One of the most notable and sought after is the 1970 South Small Date Lincoln Center. At first glance it looks very similar to the large date version, but a closer inspection reveals that the numbers in the date are shaped differently. The small date variety is much scarcer and thus highly valuable. Another incredible variety is the 1970 S double die obverse penny. This coin displays strong doubling in the date and the lettering. Collectors adore double dies because they are errors that come from the minting process itself, not damage or post-mint alterations. The 1970 S double die is one of the most famous in the Lincoln cent series, and in top-graded conditions it can fetch thousands of dollars at auctions. Even circulated examples can sell for hundreds of dollars. When we speak of the value $442, This is an average market price for a high-quality example of a 1970 Lincoln penny with one of the recognized varieties or an exceptional mint state condition. A regular worn penny from 1970 may only be worth a cent or two above face value. But the magic lies in finding those rare varieties. Collectors are willing to pay premiums because of the scarcity, the beauty of the strike, and the historical importance of the Lincoln series. Imagine going through a jar of old pennies that has been sitting in a drawer for decades. You may pull out an ordinary coin, or you may strike gold with a small date or double die. Many collectors love the treasure hunt aspect of searching through pocket change or coin rolls because of discoveries like this. And believe me, people have found 1970 ultra-valuable Lincoln pennies in circulation before. Another important factor is the grading of the coin. Professional coin grading services such as PCGS or NGC can authenticate and assign a grade to your penny. A coin graded as mint state 65 or higher can dramatically increase its value. Luster, strike quality, and the absence of scratches all play a part in determining how much a coin is worth. For example, a 1970 South small date Lincoln Center in superb gem condition has been known to sell for several $100s or more. Collectors also pay attention to the mintage numbers. In 1970, the Denver Mint produced over 2 billion pennies, the Philadelphia Mint produced more than 1.9 billion, and the San Francisco Mint produced a smaller number, including both circulation strikes and proofs. With such large mintages, you might think the coins are common, but the key lies in those special varieties and conditions. That is why even a single cent can reach the astonishing figure of $442 in today's market. The legacy of the Lincoln cent is one of endurance. For over a century it has carried the image of Abraham Lincoln, symbolizing strength, unity, and American history. Collectors view each year not just as pocket change but as a piece of the nation's story. The 1970 penny, with its special varieties and hidden value, represents a perfect blend of rarity and tradition. So the next time you come across an old penny, do not underestimate its potential. Look closely at the date. Study the numbers. Check for mint marks and doubling. Because in that little copper coin might be a treasure worth hundreds of dollars. The 1970 Ultra Lincoln penny is living proof that even the smallest denomination can hold incredible worth, both financially and historically. To sum up, the 1970 1-cent Lincoln penny may appear to be just another coin from the past, but hidden within its mintage are varieties and conditions that can transform it into a collector's gem. With a current market value of around $442 for certain examples, it is truly a coin that captures attention. It combines history, rarity, and the thrill of discovery all in one. If you enjoyed learning about this fascinating coin, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe for more amazing coin stories, and turn on notifications so you never miss our deep dives into the world of numismatics. Share this video with friends and family because who knows, they might have a hidden treasure sitting in a jar of pennies right now. Thank you for watching, and remember, every coin has a story, and sometimes that story is worth a lot more than 1 cent. Would you like me to make this script even longer with more background on Abraham Lincoln's history, coin errors, and auction records, so it becomes almost documentary style for YouTube? Today we are going deep into the fascinating world of the 1974 1-cent Lincoln penny, a coin that millions of people have held in their hands without realizing it could be worth a surprising amount of money. At first glance, the 1974 penny may look like just an ordinary copper coin, but the truth is that history, rarity, and market demand have made certain examples of this penny worth hundreds of dollars. Some even reach beyond the $400 mark, with the current market value for rare varieties touching around $442. And in today's video I am going to take you through everything you need to know about this Ultra Lincoln penny. Let's start with the history. The Lincoln cent has been one of the most iconic coins in American history since it was first minted in 1909 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. By the year 1974, the Lincoln penny had already seen several design updates and material changes. For decades these coins were made mostly from copper, and the 1974 issue is particularly interesting because it was minted during a time of change in U.S. coinage history. The price of copper was rising dramatically in the early 1970s, which meant that the U.S. Mint was forced to consider cheaper alternatives. This led to experimental pennies in 1974 that were struck in aluminum instead of copper. Now here is where the story becomes incredibly exciting. The aluminum pennies of 1974 were never officially released into circulation. Only a handful were struck as trial pieces and distributed to members of Congress. Most of them were recalled and destroyed, but a few examples slipped through the cracks, and those coins today are considered priceless rarities, worth tens of thousands of dollars or more. But even if you do not have one of the aluminum cents, the copper 1974 Lincoln penny you might already own can still hold impressive value if it has certain qualities collectors love. There are three primary mints that produced the 1974 Lincoln penny. Philadelphia produced the plain 1974 with no mint mark, Denver struck coins with the D mint mark, and San Francisco produced coins with the S mint mark, many of which were proof coins. Each of these has its own place in the coin collecting market. The standard circulation strikes are common in lower grades, but when you move up into higher mint state grades, especially coins graded MS65 and above, the values start to climb quickly. This is where you can see prices pushing well over $100 and in certain conditions even exceeding $400. The reason is simple. Collectors are always chasing perfection. A 1974 penny that still has its original mint luster, with sharp details and no wear or scratches, is incredibly difficult to find. Think about it, billions of these pennies were struck and most went straight into circulation, passing through countless hands, pockets, and coin jars over the decades. To find one that has survived untouched for more than 40 years is like finding a needle in a haystack. This rarity of condition is what drives the high market value, sometimes reaching that remarkable $442 mark, and that is not all. The 1974 Lincoln penny is also famous for its varieties and errors. Collectors love error coins, and the 1974 issue provides some of the most interesting examples. There are double die varieties where the lettering appears doubled, off-center strikes where the design is misaligned, and clipped planchet errors where the coin looks like it is missing a bite. Each of these errors can increase the value of a coin significantly, sometimes multiplying it many times over the face value. Imagine finding one of these errors in a jar of old pennies you inherited from your grandparents. That little 1-cent coin could turn into a small fortune. The story of the 1974 penny also tells us something about American history and the economy. It was a time of inflation, rising metal costs, and government experiments with new ideas. It shows how even the smallest coin in your pocket can reflect larger events in society. That is part of the reason collectors are so passionate about pennies like the 1974 Lincoln cent. They are not just bits of metal, they are pieces of history. Now let's talk about the modern market. Right now, coin collecting is more popular than ever. Online auctions, coin shows, and private sales are buzzing with activity, and the Lincoln cent series remains one of the most collected coin series in America. The demand for high-quality 1974 pennies is strong, and prices have been climbing. A high-grade certified example can command $400 or more, and if you add in a rare error or variety, the value can skyrocket well beyond that. So what should you do if you find a 1974 penny in your change or coin collection? First, take a close look. Check for a mint mark under the date to see if it is from Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. Next, examine the coin's condition. Does it still have a bright copper shine, or is it dull and worn? Are there any unusual features like doubling in the letters or numbers, or strange shapes along the rim? If you think your penny might be special, it is worth getting it professionally graded and authenticated by a service like PCGS or NGC. The grading process can turn an ordinary coin into a certified collectible with documented value. And here is a bonus tip for all collectors. Do not overlook proof sets from 1974. The San Francisco Mint produced special proof coins for collectors, and while they are more common than circulation strikes in lower grades, perfect examples can also bring impressive prices. A deep cameo-proof penny from 1974 with no marks or blemishes is a beauty to behold and a treasure to own.at. The end of the day, the 1974 Lincoln penny proves that every coin has a story. From the aluminum experiments that shook the mint, to the high-grade survivors that now bring hundreds of dollars, this 1-cent piece reminds us never to underestimate what we carry in our pockets. The next time you see a penny lying on the ground, think twice before ignoring it. It might just be a little piece of American history waiting for someone to recognize its true value. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the 1974 Ultra Lincoln penny and its market value, make sure to subscribe to our channel for more fascinating coin stories. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update about rare and valuable coins. And if you have a 1974 penny in your collection, let us know in the comments below. Who knows? You might be holding on to a small fortune without even realizing it. Thank you for watching and stay tuned because more incredible coin secrets are coming your way. Would you like me to also create 150 catchy title ideas for this 1974 penny videos so you can upload multiple versions and test which ones get the most clicks? Today we are uncovering the mystery and the surprising value behind the 1-cent coin from 1987 with the Denver Mint mark, known as the 1987 D. Lincoln penny. This little copper-coated zinc coin that so many people overlook has an amazing history and in some rare cases can be worth hundreds of dollars, with market values reaching as high as $442. If you love coins, history, and the thrill of discovering hidden treasure, stay tuned because you might just find that this penny sitting in your change jar is worth a small fortune. First, let us step back in time. The Lincoln penny has been around for more than a century. First introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln. It was the very first United States coin to feature a real person, breaking away from the tradition of using Lady Liberty and symbolic figures. By 1987, the Lincoln penny was already deeply established in American history and culture, and millions of them were minted every year. The Denver Mint, represented by the small letter D beneath the date, was one of the primary facilities striking these coins in enormous numbers. The 1987 D penny might seem ordinary at first glance, but collectors know that details matter. Most of these coins are common, but special varieties, mint errors, and high-grade uncirculated examples can transform a simple 1-cent piece into a highly desirable collectible. Imagine holding a penny in your hand that cost only 1 cent to use but could be sold in the collector's market for hundreds of dollars. That is the power of rarity, condition, and demand in coin collecting. Now let us talk about the composition of this coin. Starting in 1982, the United States Mint changed the material of pennies from mostly copper to a zinc core with a thin copper coating. The 1987 D penny is part of this newer generation, made up of 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper. To the naked eye it looks just like any other penny, but careful inspection under magnification reveals the details that matter to collectors. Sharp features, no scratches, no wear, and original mint luster can mean the difference between a penny worth face value and one worth hundreds. So why do some 1987 D pennies reach values of $442 in today's coin market? The answer lies in rarity and condition. High-grade coins graded by professional services such as PCGS or NGC can command incredible prices if they survive without damage from circulation. Most pennies are used every day, rattling around in pockets, purses, and cash registers, but a small number are saved directly from mint rolls or discovered in pristine condition years later. These top-quality examples can sell at auction for astonishing amounts of money. Another factor that drives up the value is error coins. Errors are mistakes that occur during the minting process, and collectors love them because they are unique and unusual. Off-center strikes, double dies, clipped planchets, and even misaligned dies can make a simple 1987 D penny extremely valuable. Imagine finding a penny that looks strange or unusual, only to realize it is a one-of-a-kind mint error that collectors are willing to pay hundreds of dollars to own. The market for Lincoln pennies remains strong. Collectors are always searching for those hidden gems, and coin dealers know that even the most common dates can hide rare varieties. Right now, the market value for an exceptional 1987 penny in brilliant uncirculated condition or with a rare era can soar up to $442 or even more depending on demand and condition. That is an incredible return for a coin that was only meant to be worth 1 cent. Think about it this way. You might have a jar of pennies at home, coins that have been sitting untouched for years. Inside that jar could be an ultra-valuable 1987 penny waiting to be discovered. All it takes is patience, knowledge, and a careful eye to spot the differences that separate ordinary pocket change from collectible treasures. Many collectors started just like that, by looking closely at their everyday change and discovering coins that turned out to be worth far more than expected. The story of the Lincoln penny is really the story of America. It honors Abraham Lincoln, a leader who guided the nation through its most difficult times. It has survived changes in design, changes in composition, and more than 100 years of history. Even a modern date like 1987 can remind us that every coin we use has a story, and every coin has the potential to surprise you. So the next time you get change from a store, do not ignore the pennies. Take a closer look at the dates, the mint marks, the condition, and the details. Your next big treasure might just be sitting in the palm of your hand, hiding in plain sight. The 1987 penny is living proof that even modern coins can be worth far more than their face value when rarity and condition come together. Collectors all around the world are still chasing these coins, and the demand continues to grow. With market values hitting $442 for the right coin, this is the perfect time to start paying attention to your pennies. Who knows? You might be the next person to discover a 1987 Ultra Lincoln penny that turns into a valuable collectible. If you found this video helpful and inspiring, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with your friends. Leave a comment below and let us know if you have ever found a rare Lincoln penny in your change. Your story could inspire other collectors and treasure hunters. Remember, the adventure of coin collecting is about more than money. It is about history, discovery, and the thrill of finding value where others see nothing. So keep searching, keep learning, and never underestimate the power of a single penny. Do you want me to also create a shorter, punchy version of this script that's under 3 minutes, perfect for fast YouTube content?